first off, I want to say both of you, what incredible performances. This is not an easy thing to accomplish, I'm sure. But it seems like you guys had a wealth of information to kind of create these characters with. Nikolai, I want to start with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a true story, and I read the book by Ina Mikkelsen called Two Against the Ice. I don't know, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and I was blown away. There were so many things to it that moved me. I mean, I love a good adventure story, a good, find the whole idea of going to unknown places just interesting. But then it had the added layer of these two very different men being caught in this cabin in the middle of nowhere for so long, and the way he described the effects on their minds, and I just thought it was moving and it was interesting, and so that's why I wanted to develop this together with Joe Derek, my co-writer, and Peter Flynn, the director.
Yeah, it's a marvelous story, and Joe, I want to jump in with you too. I feel like you had a little bit more with finding Ivan's actual words. That must have been a wealth for you as an actor.
Yeah, it was a new challenge delving into this character. He's quite different to myself, and it took a moment to figure out who this guy really was, and I think it was important to bring another element to the film. He's got to be the antithesis to Mikkelsen. So the positivity and trying not to be too annoying, but that sort of upbeat nature and
it's very unlike Joe. I mean,
basically the opposite. Basically the
really
opposite of me. It required all my acting skills to bring this one to life, but it was a lot of fun.
To not get annoying, you mean? You had to do something.
Yeah,
it was a fight, daily fight, a struggle.
No, well, you also work with a lot of dogs, both of you. And what was that experience like? I mean, that seems pretty amazing.
what was that? Sorry,
the dogs.
What was it?
The dogs. Yeah, I mean, I remember the first day we we had this. We were training on the sleds, and we had 12 dogs, and you literally couldn't hear yourself think. They were so loud, barking, and then there was this humongous fight with a bunch, 6 or 7 dogs jumping on each other, and the wranglers had to come in and pull them apart with brute force, and then they said that's how you treat the dogs. If you don't treat them like this, they're not gonna behave. And I was like, I cannot be physical with the dog in this way. I think it was what you see on screen is quite realistic in for my character, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it makes sense for your character not to be used to that too, as well. So it's kind of perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
It was perfect. Yeah. No, but I mean, we were very lucky. We had great wranglers. I mean, the dogs are just incredible. I mean, and when we came to Greenland, we had these. I mean, we were shooting out on this frozen lake, and there's this mountain range next to it, and we're shooting, and then suddenly I see like locals coming down the mountain with their dogs, and you kind of look and you go, there's no way, how can you run down? And I'm instantly going to Peter going, look Peter, we have to shoot something like that. So in the movie there is a scene where we have the two of us coming down a mountain, and it's I mean, it's just amazing what they can do, and you can understand why to this day in the north of Greenland they still only use dogs when they go hunting, because you can trust the dogs, you can't trust a snowmobile. Those things break down. It's it's a fascinating thing.
There's a great moment where you guys find the abandoned vehicle just like in the middle of the ice. You're like, well, this is helpful for a seat. Talk about the relationship that you two have. I mean, it's really marvelous. The chemistry between you, both of you, is just fantastic. How easy was that to find for both of you? Joe, let's jump with you on that.
Yeah, for me, it came quite naturally. Nikolaj was a leader on the project. He'd obviously been working on the project for a number of years, co-written it, producing it. I came on very last minute, I think 10 days before we started shooting. So I was jumping in very, very much last minute, and he led from the front, and I think that comes across in the show. He's the boss. And I'm there along for the ride.
And also I think I mean, because it is very much a two-hander, we wanted to find a really, really strong actor. So it just took.
You couldn't. So then you got
no, but it took a while. But then I saw the film called Prayer Before Dawn that Joe did, which is, if you haven't seen, I can recommend that highly. Those two things. First of all, the acting is superb, but also you could see that was a tough shoot. I mean, that must have been a fucking tough shoot. Sorry, a really tough shoot. And I knew we were heading into a tough shoot. We needed the best actor we could get, and Joe was the best actor. And then someone who's also willing to not whine, and who's willing to do the work. And when you talk about chemistry, yeah, we have great chemistry, but also I think sometimes it's a word that can't be, for me, overrated. I think if you have really good people, good actors, that will happen, because that's what you create together, you know. Yeah. I mean, I'm never worried about, you know, chemistry. I'm worried about bad actors. That can mess it up, right?
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, this is JoBlo. You can say fuck. That's totally fine. Nikolaj, this is such a lot for you to take on. You know, as an actor, as behind the scenes a producer, and being involved with the script. What was the I can't talk. What was the most difficult element for you with this particular project?
You know, the thing is, it's almost, you know, the whole making of a film like this, it's just one step at a time. For a long time, it was about finding someone who would finance it, like to find the place where someone was excited about as we were. We were very, very lucky to find Netflix. And then, of course, we needed an experienced producer, to get Baltasar Kormákur, who's an amazing director himself, has a studio in Iceland, for him to take this on. I'm very new to being behind the scenes. I've learned so much from Baltasar, and I think I don't really, you know, what is the hardest part? I don't ever think about it like that. You just move ahead. You just don't, in a way, kind of like Mikkelsen says about, you know, going on these things. You never think you can't make it. And I'm kind of the same. I always thought we were going to get this movie made, even though there were times when you were like, is this really going to happen? But it did.
Working with Netflix, and we're seeing such a change in the industry and how movies are being presented. Do you see that as a positive, or are you fearful of the future of big budget films?
I'm not too fearful. Yes, everything changes all the time. I mean, if you go back in history, when television came, everyone was like, "This is the end of cinema." You know, we were doomed. Internet came, we were doomed. I mean, and streaming, of course, is it's particular now after this pandemic. You know, we haven't been able to go to the movie theaters, but I think that, like, just last night we had the premiere here, and to sit with 1,000 people in a cinema, it was like, it's so good, and you know, everyone is just going, "Oh, this is the best." I'm not too worried. Netflix is the biggest studio in the world now, and they create more than anyone. But I can only talk for our experience has been really positive with them. The overall political consequences, who knows? But I'm optimistic, because I think that, you know, there's a constant need for stories. We want to, you know, it's part of who we are as human beings. It's a culture, how we carry culture. We need to tell stories, who knows? I'm very optimistic. It's going to change for sure. Everything changes. That's part of life, right?
Well, I'm happy to see Netflix offering, you know, original material, which is rare.
Yeah.
Joe, do you feel the same? I would take it.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a gap that was forming in the market. You know, it's like you've got the big tentpole $200 million films in the cinema, and then you know, in the States, you know, they were making $10 to $50 million movies that you can't make anymore because you can't get the audience for them. So you've got to find a new home, and with these streamers, we are able to make these movies that, you know, character true stories.
Yeah, yeah. And I just wish I could have seen it on a big screen. That must have been amazing.
Oh, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thank you so much. It was really a pleasure talking to both of you, and good luck with the film. I think people are going to really love it.
Thank you
Thank you,
so
man.
much.
Cheers.
Cheers.